So I was in the shower and I had just talked to a friend about some like relationship problems, and it got me thinking. Like, I was pretty vocal about what I thought, and kind of with everything that was going on, and like giving advice. Like, it wasn't like unsolicited advice, like it was actual advice that like she wanted, kind of thing. And I was like, I wish that I had had that when I was navigating the dating world, because in all honesty, I didn't really have any advice when I was dating and when I was trying to navigate these relationships. And I feel like a lot of times I felt kind of stuck, and like I had to figure it out myself in a way. And I was just like, what would I go back and like tell my younger self? What would I want my younger self to know? And the first thing, before I even like go farther down, is I want you to know that you are worthy of love. You are so worthy of love, and not just from others, but from yourself as well. And I know how hard that can be sometimes, especially if you struggle with self-confidence, or you struggle with depression, or maybe another mental illness where that kind of takes the front seat. And it's really difficult to be in that situation. And I have finally gotten to a point, not that I don't ever have like bad days where I'm self-conscious or like depressed about things, but I've gotten to a place where about myself, I know what I deserve, and I am like cultivating that happiness and confidence within myself apart from anybody else. So it doesn't matter if I'm single or if I'm in a relationship, I'm gonna be happy either way. And that's not something that you can do overnight. That has taken so many failed relationships, that has taken so many mistakes on my part. It has taken a lot of humbling, and it's taken a lot of heartbreak and nights spent crying, like hating myself or hating the situation or just generally sad. And I just wanted to let you know, like, if you're in that place right now, you are seen and you're not alone. You are valued and you are loved and you are worth it. I always do that in my outro. I say you're loved, you're valued, and you're worth it. And I mean it. You are deserving of love, and you deserve all the good things. You do, even when it doesn't feel like it. And it can be so hard to feel like we can or that we should when all we see is like our mistakes or things that we could do better, or things where you're like, well, no one could ever love me because I do X, Y, Z. And I feel like love to both yourself and to others, it's not, I will love myself when this happens. It's about loving yourself in spite of these things, and loving yourself as you would love like a child. Like, just because the child throws a tantrum, does that mean you stop loving them? Like, no, you love them unconditionally. And I feel like that's something that we can really attribute, or not attribute, but like really do for ourselves as well. Also, if you hear noises, my dog is walking around. But yeah, it's something that you do deserve, and I hope that you can get to a place where you can be confident and you can be happy in who you are. And it's something, like I said, it's not overnight, and that takes practice, and you have to do a little bit kind of just, I mean, just like with a stranger, you don't, well, most people don't fall in love like right off the bat instantly. It takes a little bit for you to fall in love, and it's the same with yourself sometimes. You don't have to be in love with yourself right now, but just looking at little moments and things that you do or things about yourself that you appreciate, or kind of just slowly falling in love with yourself. I hope that that's something that you can do. And I say this because number one, loving yourself is important anyway, and I hope everyone would be able to do that. But also, when you begin to enter into relationships, you don't take crap from people like you did before. Like just viewing myself as I was in my very first relationship to how, like I am now, or like when people like hit on me or have a crush on me or something like that. The difference is when you don't have confidence in yourself, or you don't love yourself, or you don't believe that you're worthy of being treated well, or you maybe haven't had that exampled. When those things happen, when someone says something, or they cross a boundary, or they cross a line, oftentimes we look at ourselves for that. We're like, we blame ourselves, or sometimes we don't even notice because that's just the norm. Sometimes we even treat ourselves that way. But once you have that foundation, they start saying things, and there's just this little like click thing that goes on in your mind where you're like, wait, that doesn't sound right. Like, it doesn't align with who you have like cultivated yourself to be, in a way, if that makes sense. And you start noticing those red flags so much faster, so much more efficiently, and you don't just not like, you notice them, but you also tend to do things about them. Because if you have like low self-esteem, or you're depressed, or you don't think that you really deserve love, and you're like, why would anybody love me? And that type of thing happens. It's kind of like, well, it just is what it is, and when those things happen, when like you're confident and you love yourself, and you believe that you're deserving of love, that no longer matches. You're like, that's not love, and I deserve more, I deserve better for myself. And you can kind of be a little bit more assertive because you know that you deserve something else. And it's kind of like, have you guys ever hung out with like a middle school friend, and it's like all fun and games, like gossipy, whatever, and you think that that's like your normal. You don't see them for a while, you work on yourself for a little while, and then you see them again in like a few years, or sometimes even like over the summer, you see them again, and you've changed. They haven't, and you start noticing the things that you never noticed before, it didn't bother you before, and you're like, this doesn't feel right. Like, I'm not who I was before, so I can't like associate in a way with those types of things. That's not who I am anymore. I don't want to gossip, I don't want to do this, I don't want to be, cliquey or whatever it is. And something else that I wish I had known, or I wish I had done differently through most of my relationships, is I wish that I had listened to the people around me. Every situation is going to be different, and every, dynamic between you and your friends or family, or the people who are mentoring you, is going to be different, and it's going to change between the people that you're in a relationship with. But listen to the people who have concerns. If it's maybe like one person, like, okay, I could see maybe like, whatever, unless maybe if it's like someone who really, really, really knows you, or who really, really knows that person, and they raise a concern, like, don't just dismiss it. But if there's like multiple people telling you, oh hey, this is going kind of fast, or oh hey, I'm really concerned that this person does XYZ, and I don't think that that's the best for you. It can be so frustrating at times to hear that, and we get on the defense and we're like, oh, they just don't understand. They don't see him all the time, or they don't see her all the time. They're just getting bits and pieces. And number one, I do just want to kind of acknowledge that a lot of times we vent to our friends when we're upset about like an argument or something, and a lot of times they'll hear more negative than they do good, and then after the argument's over, you're like, oh, like, it's all good, never mind, everything is fine. Sorry, my dog is whining, but something that, I just lost my train of thought because of my dog. Anyways, what was I saying? And they're like, oh, it's okay, it's all good, we're over that now. But they hear a lot of negative things. I just wanted to acknowledge that just because there may be positive things that that person doesn't see or whatever, those negative things still happened, and the positives don't necessarily outweigh the negative. It doesn't negate what they've done in the past. And I'm not saying like hold a grudge. That's not what I'm saying, but I'm saying that in certain instances where there may be something that really, really hurt you, and it's something that is frequently happening, but you're like, oh, well, they only did it once, and you kind of justify it. Especially this happens a lot in like gaslighting, or sometimes like abuse. I'm not trying to trigger anyone, so that's all I'm going to touch on that, but I just wanted to say that like all the negative things or the positive things that they do doesn't negate the fact that those negative things still happened, and they are important to look at. But anyways, kind of, where you're just like, well, they did this, but they're also really sweet in this way. No. But I wish that, because like I would get on the defense and be like, well, they just don't understand, or they're not in on the relationship. And that's exactly why sometimes it can be helpful to listen to them, because they are not in on the relationship. They don't have the same investment and emotional connection and justification system that you do in your mind when certain things happen or when they have concerns. They're a little bit more level-headed. And so that's something to just kind of keep in mind. And maybe they're going to be right, maybe they're going to be wrong, and ultimately it's your decision. And sometimes, especially like in my case, I have to do something even if people tell me not to do it, because I have to learn myself, and that sucks sometimes, especially when it comes to relationships. But I have to know in some ways, and so I wish that I had kind of listened when people had concerns, people who really knew me. Just even if you don't like listen, at least keep it in the back of your mind, because there's a reason that there's these things happening, or why they don't like them because of this, or just like, hey, I don't know if that's, people just want to see you happy, and that it shouldn't necessarily be a deal breaker, but it is something that you might want to take a look at. And another thing I think that is so rampant right now in society, and something that I found myself doing a lot, and I wish that I could tell my younger self to not do that, is villainizing. And what I mean by that is making a good guy and a bad guy, because ultimately we're all just people, and none of us are perfect. We all make mistakes, and I mean, there are some instances where, like, yeah, that's not good. That person really treated you terribly. But I think we have this mindset to so quickly jump on this, like, polarization where you're always the good guy, right? And that person is always the bad guy. And I think that blinds us to the reality that sometimes there's things that we do that are hurtful, but we're never going to see ourselves as the villain. because that's just not natural. We don't want to be seen as the bad guy or feel like the bad guy. And that person, they might have done some bad things, or they might have treated you poorly, or they might have treated you well. I don't know. But either way, they are human, and that doesn't necessarily justify or excuse what they've done to you or what you've done to them. But we have this polarization that I think can diminish our ability to heal sometimes, because then we become a victim in our minds, and it's always about what they did to us and not kind of a give and take, or even okay, they're a human, they messed up, they did some of these things that were not cool, or we just, we broke up. But as soon as you start labeling somebody as innately bad and you are innately good, I feel like it can prolong your healing. And I'm not talking about like cases of abuse here. Again, I just wanted to point that out. But in like a good majority of relationships, it can really be harmful for us and for our healing process to look back at an ex and be like, wow, they were so evil, they were horrible, they were this, they were that. And it's like this, and you want to kind of bring it a little bit closer to that so you have better understanding, better compassion. Just because you forgive someone doesn't mean that you forget it. But I've noticed that when I don't hold that grudge, and when I am able to finally kind of forgive them, that anxiety and that sadness and that pain that I had with them does tend to go away a little bit more, because I'm not bitter and resentful over what they did. Yeah, it hurt really bad, but I'm not carrying around this weight that was never mine to carry to begin with. Also, my hair is like so wavy right now, and I don't know why, because my hair is usually like straight. There's no product in it, so I don't know. Anyways, so that's something that I wish I had known or kind of done differently. I definitely, I don't want to say that I was like the victim in a lot of relationships, but it was kind of that thing where it was just like, they are terrible, and look what they did to me, and like I can't get over this because I'm so busy being resentful and bitter about how they treated me. Another thing that I wish that I knew, or that I don't know, you can do everything right and still not be right or enough for somebody. And that's not a reflection of you or your character or your personality or what you have to offer, but a reflection of them. Something that I've learned over the last few years especially is I am not responsible for someone else's reactions or someone else's actions. And I mean, like, don't go around treating people like crap and then like not expect them to like say something about it. That's not what I'm talking about. But what I am talking about more so is you can do everything right, but somebody is still gonna not be, or not like think of you as enough. And it's not that you're not giving enough or you are not enough or any of those things, but sometimes people just have different expectations, or they hold you to a higher standard than what is achievable by anyone, almost kind of putting you as like an idol, with unfair expectations. And I think that can be dangerous, but we can often blame ourselves when we feel guilty, or we feel like we aren't enough, or we're told that we're not enough, or if you were this, it would be better, or stuff like that. And I was really hard on myself in every breakup it's like, if you've seen or listened to Hamilton, it reminds me of Alexander Hamilton, when he just keeps going and going and going, and nothing that he has ever satisfies him, and it's not a result of anybody not being enough, but he just is searching for more, that he can't be satisfied, and he won't be satisfied, and there's some people that aren't gonna like you, and it's hard not to take that personally. I know I do. This kind of always helped me a lot. I don't know where I heard it, I can't remember, but I heard a thing about how you are a vanilla cupcake, and somebody doesn't like you, okay? You're in a situation, someone doesn't like you, and you take that upon yourself, and you're like, oh, they don't like me. What's wrong with me? What's wrong? Why aren't I enough? Am I not pretty enough? Am I not smart enough? Am I not funny enough? Like, why don't they like me? Some people are not gonna like you, and there's gonna be a lot of people that don't like you, but it's not because you're bad. You are a vanilla cupcake. You are delicious and fantastic in every way. But this person was just looking for ice cream, and it doesn't mean that you are bad. It just means that you are not what that person is looking for. But you will be great for a person who comes along really wanting a vanilla cupcake, right? Like, I don't know. That's just something that always kind of helped me when I felt like someone didn't like me, or was like, why don't they like me? Am I not enough? All of those things. And I'm like, you know what? They just wanted cookies and cream ice cream. But somebody who likes vanilla cupcakes is gonna come along. You know, like that type of thing. It had been really helpful for me. So I think those are the main things. I think something else that I hope we can all do is be more gentle with ourselves. And that is something that I struggled with for a long time. I was so hard on myself, and I'm an avid overthinker. I major in overthinking at the academy, and that sounded so cheesy. I don't know why I said that, but I mean, we get these things where we're so hard on ourselves and blame ourselves, because I think in a way that's all that we can control, and it's almost easier to blame ourselves than it is to come to the realization that somebody that we looked up to, or somebody that we loved, wasn't who we thought they were. And it's easier, because then we're like, well, I can fix it, I can be different. But I always tell people, like, be as gentle with yourself as you would be to a 5-year-old version of yourself, or just a 5-year-old in general, or a close friend. Like, how would you treat them, and like, what would you say, and why would you say that? Why do we have compassion on others, but we don't extend that to ourselves? And I think that that's something that's so important. And like I said, everyone is going on their own journeys. Everyone is going on their own thing of self-discovery, and we're all going to be in different places at different times, and that's okay. That's being human, and I just hope that we can be there for one another and help each other grow and help each other, like, be okay and be respectful of the journey and the place that we're at in the moment. And there's just I don't know, I feel like at this point I'm kind of rambling a little bit. your confidence, to build your self-esteem, to build this idea that you are worth it and you are loved and you are worthy of love. It is not overnight. Like I said, it will not happen overnight, but it will be a gradual shift and a gradual change. And I hope and I pray that you guys can get there at some point if you're not there, and it's okay if you're not. It is okay. It's okay if you're not. But I think that it is so special to be moving towards something and growing towards something, because the better that you take care of yourself and the more that you love yourself, the better that you will be able to care and love for others. And I guarantee, as soon as you fall in love with yourself and know what you deserve and what you don't, your relationships, both friendships and like romantic relationships, will improve drastically, or you'll start seeing people that maybe aren't really your friend after all. And I can't even tell you how much better my life is once I kind of got that in my soul and in my heart and my mind, that I was worthy of love, and that like I'm not too much or too emotional or anything like that. And like I said, there's some days are better than others, and it's not like every day you're gonna go around and be like, yeah, I am the greatest person alive, let's go. But you start to align with people who have similar interests, and so, or not even interests necessarily, but who have similar mindsets, and it's like two healthy people together is so unproblematic and nice. Not gonna lie, like having an unhealthy person and a healthy person together is difficult, and having an unhealthy person and an unhealthy person together is even harder. But having two healthy people together, either in friendship or romance, it makes the difference, all the difference in the world for how you view yourself and others and just your quality of life. And like I said, it's okay if you're not there. It's okay if you're still struggling, because so many others are, and it's not something that's gonna be this magic switch. And I know that there's a lot of factors that go into that. It's not just like a mind thing where you have to tell yourself you're beautiful. Like, there's a lot of things that go into it, whether that be friends or family or situations or mental illness or medication, or there's so many things that have an effect on how we view ourselves. And that's okay. Like I said, we are all on a journey, and I'm just glad to be on this journey with you guys. So I hope you guys like this video, and I'll see you next time.